right, I'll call to order the May 21st Parks and Trails Commission's meeting. And we'll start with roll call. Christensen here.
Anderson here.
Schmidt here. Strailer here.
Great. I invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to agenda approval, but I will make a motion to move unfinished business, item 7, until after item 8, new business. Any discussion or need a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, take care of that. Excellent. All right, so we'll move on to item 4, meeting minutes from last April 16th Parks meeting. Any questions, comments, corrections?
Move to approve is written.
Great, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Moving on to open forum. Is anyone here for open forum? Okay, great, thank you. Moving right along. Presentations, none, so new business, Springs at Corcoran.
So we do have 2 comment cards. Would you like to listen to staff presentations first and then take comments? Or would you like to do comments first and then presentation?
I'd like the presentation first. All right, let's do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, item 8A tonight is the Springs at Corcoran development. This is a preliminary plat, preliminary PUD, and a rezoning request. This is a mixed-use development consisting of 294 market rate units, 5 commercial lots, and 2 outlots on a 67.21 acre site. This project location is at 19330 County Road 30. For context, this is the farmland directly west of the Mama G's property. The 2040 Parks and Trails map shows an existing on-road trail along County Road 30. By on-road trail, we refer to the painted shoulders, and then a proposed on-road trail along County Road 101, and a proposed off-road trail through the middle of the site. This proposed off-road trail is intended to connect to the larger system of trails in the surrounding area, specifically the existing trail network to the north within what is now the Bellwether development, and a future off-road trail south of County Road 30. These connections would provide users access to the nearby open space park to the north, as well as the greater Diamond Lake Regional Trail System. Currently, there is an existing off-road trail to the north, my laser pointer out, to the northwest of the site along 102nd, as well as along Cedar Lane on the east side. The proposed plan from the developer would include an off-road trail, which is shown in blue on the screen, that would connect County Road 30 through the site, would follow along the east side of the new Elm Lane extension, and then would follow the north side of this proposed east-west roadway, and it would follow the west boundary of the site until stubbing off in the northwest corner for future connection when the property to the west develops in the future. For context, just to understand the surrounding area, the property to the west is zoned and guided for business park usage. Staff in the review of the proposal also noted that there is an existing off-road trail along Cedar Lane today, whereas the plans did not show a pedestrian connection between the proposed sidewalks in the commercial area. So as a condition of approval, staff recommends that the plans be revised to include a trail connection between Cedar Lane and the proposed sidewalk shown in green, where my cursor is hovering now. The city policy is to require an 8-foot wide trail within a 20-foot easement and give credit for the areas of the off-road trail shown in the comprehensive plan. For the case of the applicants, they are showing a 20-foot easement in the western portion of the site, and staff recommends that the city give park dedication credit for the segment of trail easement based on the city's standard protocol. So going into the park dedication calculations, the estimated net land area is what is the basis of the park dedication calculations. Net land area is essentially the gross land area and then subtracting the wetlands areas below the 100-year ordinary high water line and the right-of-way. So staff estimates that to be about 25.4 acres. This would need to be confirmed by the applicant with the final plat. But through the dedication requirements of a mixed-use development, 23% of the land area or the market value of that land would need to be dedicated as park dedication. So 23% of the 25.4 acres is 5.84 acres of dedicated land. And the applicant is proposing approximately 0.21 acres of parkland through that trail easement. So that 0.21 acres would cover 3.5% of the required park dedication, and the remaining 96.5% would be handled as cash in lieu of land. Park dedication fees are based on the final of the fee schedule at final plat. However, for tonight's discussion, the park dedication fees for 2026 are $4,040 per multifamily unit and $5,866 per acre of commercial land. So for the case of this development, 294 multifamily units times $4,040 is just a tad short of $1.2 million. And then 14.34 acres of commercial times that 5,866 is $86,118.44, bringing that total to $1.2 million. So we taking out that 3% credit for the trail construction would reduce that calculation by $45,000, which would result in a remaining cash due of $1,226,796.49. So staff recommends that the Parks and Trails Commission move to recommend that the plans be revised to include a trail connection between Cedar Lane and the proposed sidewalk within the commercial area, and approval of acceptance of the combination of off-road trail easements and cash in lieu of land to satisfy the park dedication requirements.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do you want to take public comment?
Sure, let's do that. Anyone here for public comment?
We do have cards.
Please just step up to the microphone, say your name and address, please.
Where, can you read that, Margo?
Hi, my name's Kim Svoboda, and I live at 19570 102nd Place. So just for reference on that slide, I am in the middle house at the very northwest corner, at the where that trail is going to end and intersect, just so you know where I'm at. So there's just a couple things that I'd like to ask, and I don't know if you can answer or not, but the first thing is I'd like to confirm that the Diamond Lake Regional Trail, which runs alongside of my neighbor's home right there, is still planning to go to the west to 116 there, if that's still going to happen.
So the public comment opportunity is for you to voice the concern,
Okay.
but they can't necessarily
Okay.
answer the question.
So I've been previously advised by the many people who are here and the mayor and city council that the trail was going to go to the west there. So it just isn't shown, so I just was concerned that it was going to just be a main through there instead of going to the west as I had been advised. Just a little quick background. When I purchased my lot about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I did do my homework and looked at the city's long-term plans for both the Diamond Lake Regional Trail and also the off-road trail that Dwight was referencing to. The Diamond Lake Regional Trail was originally supposed to come out of the Bellwether Woods, and exit off Hunter's Ridge. That has now been changed to go alongside my neighbor's home. There already had been a parking area allotted for that and everything that now is not even near where the trail is coming out. This off-road trail, as per Dwight's presentation with the yellow lines, was very much north and east of my property. Now they want to move it right behind my property. And also I appreciate that they now recognize that there is an already trail by Cedar, which is right in line with what the long-term development plan was. And I don't particularly, I would much rather see it do what the long-term plan was and why I purchased my home than to see it right in my backyard along with the other Diamond Lake Trail. I love trails. I will be one of the people who uses the trails. I just purchased my lot because it didn't have a trail intersecting it, and now I have two major trails, both regional, both coming right at the back of my property. Sorry. You kind of cut me with already doing that part. Let's see. So I'm disappointed that we are getting both of these trails, or that's what's being proposed. The Springs proposal to have the trail go right along all those buildings, every one of those 500 residents, which is their estimate of how many residents will be in there, plus all the regional users who will be coming across 30 to get on this trail, will be headed straight from my sunroom and my patio. Right into it. I do appreciate the little bump out they gave, but I know Connor and Sarah were at my house today and saw that that really doesn't do a whole lot for me. It's still very close to my property. I guess I definitely feel that the way the trail is aligned, it negatively affects my property and adjacent property to the trails. I respectfully request that no approval or a recommendation is given tonight until a mutually agreed upon mitigation solution can come up with and be put in writing and put on the diagrams in the plot so that I have some kind of concession to know that it's going to happen. If the trail has to be two trails now, instead of just the other original one, a berm with pine trees, something to block all of this traffic that's coming directly at my property. Thank you for your time and listening.
Appreciate the comment.
Thank you.
One more comment?
Hi, I'm Linda Herman. My address is 19568 102nd Place, and I am just to the west of Kim and Joe. I'm the next door neighbor, and I'm in agreement with Kim's comments that she made this evening. My favorite room is my sunroom, and that's behind my property on the south side, and the trailer is going to be right there. I already have a trail next to my home, 6 feet away from my west side of my building. So it's just, we want some accommodation so we can have, safety, we can have, that our property is not going to be diminished because of this extra trail here and everything, and we just want you to consider what Kim has talked about already, and I agree with what she had said, so thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Good for public comments?
Yes.
Okay, great. You guys are all here for...
We're here to develop and get questions.
Oh, okay, great. Very good. Okay, so basically we're saying...
Do you want to go into discussion?
Okay, so staff thinks we should connect the trail to the existing trail on Cedar. Is that what's there?
Correct,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, yes. I can switch back to that screen. Cedar Lane is the easternmost north-south street. There's a existing trail here today. So the plans should reflect some sort of pedestrian connection between the end of the trail on Cedar Lane to the pedestrian sidewalk network that would be within the commercial area.
Okay, forgive me, but what would be the difference between just having a sidewalk and designating a trail? Is it different setbacks or?
It's different material, so what's existing today along the side of Cedar Lane is a bituminous trail. And to avoid, I guess, for lack of a better word, maybe a jarring transition in the middle of a block from bituminous to concrete sidewalk, is something that we considered, and it's not unheard of. Someone could just install a sidewalk instead of the bituminous trail, but for consistency, we recommend
The
it
same
as
look and same.
trail until it reaches that intersection there.
Okay. And then what's the purpose for the second trail?
The trail on the west side here?
Correct.
Yeah, so this would be part of the 2040 Parks and Trails plan that would ultimately, when the property to the west develops, would connect to, there's an existing trail generally in this area of where my cursor is today, and is anticipated to, this trail, and we'll back up a second, this trail is part of the Diamond Lake Regional Trail System and is anticipated to be routed to the west and follow the rest of that property until it reaches County Road 116, and then would connect to that underpass that was approved as part of the Hope Meadows development back in 2024. And this local trail network would connect to that regional trail network.
Okay, and there's no trail there right now, though. That would wait for the property to the west to be sold.
Correct, yeah, I can pull up that. This is the existing conditions today, and I'm sorry that it's kind of difficult to see. I was hoping it was going to show up a little bit more, but there's a red line here where the existing trail is today, but there is a gap in between the proposed project site and the existing trail. So when that property to the west develops, that's when that connection would actually be made. Yeah.
Okay, so there's already a trail there.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So you're looking to recommendation for approval and connection. Is that right? All right. Any thoughts?
I would like, can we go back to that picture? I would like the two folks who came in to actually tell me where it is that you live.
I'm in this middle house right here,
Okay,
and with Linda right there, it's in the house with the trail right next to it.
okay, all right.
May I say one last thing? If I love?
You can, but could you please stand up to the mic?
Thank you very much for allowing me.
Yeah.
I didn't remember to say, if they did do the Cedar Trail, that already will connect through the woods to the same Diamond Lake Trail. That will go through there. You don't need to connect this little connector. There will already be a connection if you go through Cedar Lane.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you show us that?
The Cedar Lane trail?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I wish I could make this image bigger, but where my cursor is where an existing trail is today, and follows Cedar Lane along to 100th Avenue,
Okay.
and then crosses the street and connects to that boardwalk within the Bellwether development.
So essentially, the Three Rivers Trail is going to split?
The Three Rivers Trail it follows the open space park and then the backside of the houses along 102nd.
Okay, yep,
And then right now it's stubbed at the
Yep.
bottom side
Okay.
of Bellwether, and then is anticipated to run to the west and connect to the Hope Meadows development.
okay,
But the rest of the trails within Bellwether are not part of the Diamond Lake Regional Trail.
Okay.
They're just local trails.
they're local, part of our trail system, part of the Corcoran Trail System.
Correct.
And that, so the primary level of traffic that's going to be carried will be past your houses. And that piece of land that is just to the west of your houses, is that,
It's like a retention pond.
it's a retention
Yeah,
pond in there?
it's like a retention pond,
Okay.
a little bit of wetlands, but
Yep, okay. It wouldn't be as simple as just sliding the trail over there because there's water there.
Can I address that?
Yep.
Yeah, please do.
I'm sorry.
We have a map.
So Linda and I have been on a call with Three Rivers.
Yeah.
And Jessica was on the call also. And we discussed that because it is literally 6 to 10 feet
Yeah.
max from her dining room window. And they agreed that potentially, when that trail was developed further, they would try to back up a little bit where it's going right at her house
Yep.
and curve it to the right, to the west, right.
You'd like that to be a more formal declaration. on
It
their
would
part.
be nice, yes.
Yeah.
It would be nice, yes. I mean, especially for her, I mean, we ended that call, just so you can tell if it's true, with the gentleman who kind of committed to that, saying, this is my last day, and I know I'm not going to be with Three Rivers
Three
anymore.
Rivers anyway, okay, yeah.
And we were like, oh,
That's the land.
Yep, so this is the trail that's currently in place.
yep.
Already installed, and then, so this is kind of that stopgap that is being discussed. That would make the connection from the eastern property to Bellwether a little more seamless from the backside of those buildings. It's just, correct me if I'm wrong, but an additional connection point, especially for like the folks on the western side of the property. Otherwise, they are kind of meandering over further.
So, I know the property to the west, that's not in question right now, you need to sell, but in theory, you could bring the trail down further south, so it's not cutting directly into the new trail. Is that a possibility, or is it, because that looks like trees there?
That's correct. The design of the trail on that property is still up in the air. We haven't had a development proposal for that yet, but when that comes in, that's something that could be looked at as part of the park and trails requirements
Yeah.
for that development, is routing it further west.
Right,
as much
so
as
we'd have to wait for that to come across, though.
Mr. Christensen?
Yep.
I did already propose to many of the city folks that there's already a snowmobile trail that the city paid for this past winter that goes through the middle of the woods over to 116. I asked, and that would have made their trail end further up by where they're parking, on the other side of the buildings, actually, that far up. And I do believe that was proposed and said, no, it couldn't happen. But it would have made given us a lot more space between the trail and our houses.
So you're saying there's a snowmobile trail?
Correct, cut through the middle of that.
The middle of the.
It
the
comes out
western
about
property.
right, yeah. So it originally, it comes out about right here, and it kind of meanders in here. But there's already one that the city has paid for to cut through this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can speak to that property until it sells, is my
Right.
guess. So there's not much we can do there. I think the connection does make sense, but there's nothing, we can't footnote anything to say when this property comes up. I mean, we'll notice it when we see it. That would be a good time to stop in when that property sells, to remind everyone, if we're even up here on it's the same group, that we could make the future connection somewhere a little more south. This trail that is currently proposed, is this gonna actually be poured in place when the development's done? Do we know?
Yeah, so the proposed development, if approved, would be developed in 2 phases. So the apartments would be the phase 1, and the commercial area would be in a future phase, could be phase 2, could be 2 or 3 phases. Unclear at this time, but for right now, we know phase 1 is the apartments. So everything on the west side of the property would be constructed with the rest of the development. So it would be there on day 1.
Okay. Yeah, please do.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm Connor Nett with Continental Properties. I'm the development team lead for the Springs at Corcoran. Sarah Johnson, also here, our Vice President of Development, and Greg Ebert is the commercial developer and also represents the landowner. For our address, we're from Wisconsin, Menominee Falls. Our address is 134N west, 134 North 8675 Executive Parkway, Menominee Falls. What I was just thinking through, we would be open to dedicating the 20-foot easement, foregoing the reimbursement to be determined at final plat, and kind of leaving that space for the trail, but then we could determine, based on what happens further to the west, if it makes sense to make that connection further south. So kind of leaving the space for it, 100% of the space, and then it could be kind of adjusted based on what happens next to give some flexibility, knowing that Parkland credit would be likely adjusted because of it. So we had a previous proposal of like a 10-foot easement on our side and then get a 10-foot easement on the neighbor's property. I can understand how that's challenging, because what if you don't get that 10-foot easement? So at least now you have the 20-foot easement, and you can kind of play with where that is based on future development plans. So open to it. More discussion would be great, but appreciate the time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, just a clarifying question then. That blue line, dotted line along the very left side there, where it goes up to, and then that small piece that's connecting to their, yes, thank you, the edge of their property where there's an existing trail. The proposal is that that trail obviously goes up there, but we're saying that future development to the west is not determined. So that blue line that's going vertical, if it stops at the, say, the middle of that image, is that what would then could connect to that snowmobile trail? It's closer to that snowmobile trail, correct? Sure. Okay, so yeah, I guess maybe the question is, having that blue line go all the way to the top, that trail, is that going to just assume then that trail will connect in the future once that lot is sold? More likelihood versus us stopping it towards the bottom.
Yeah, so, yeah, having it up towards the top rather than in the middle does provide the opportunity for it to connect closer to the north, I guess it would be the northeastern corner of that neighboring property rather than through the center of that neighboring property. Generally, with trail easements, we try not to have them take up too much space of the actual buildable area of a development or development proposal. So we would recommend that you have the easement go up further up the side of the property rather than halfway up, so that way you have that flexibility, so that when that development comes in, you can have some room to work with, because after this proposed development is approved, it's harder to go back and try and get additional trail easements at a later point in time.
Okay, thank you for that. Helpful.
So we could have the whole easement and potentially not pave the whole thing.
That's a possibility. Generally, city policy is to have the developer construct the trail alongside the development. Obtaining the trail easement and deferring the construction of the trail generally results in that becoming a city-led project, and that is additional resources and staff manpower dedicated towards the construction of that trail.
Okay, but if we did get the easement, have it paved, once property to the west sells, we could still make the connection somewhere further down and essentially take out a portion of the trail.
That's correct.
That would be reasonable. Okay. That makes sense. Any questions? Should we make a movement?
Is there an opportunity for one last comment, and then I
Certainly
promise I
can.
won't say anything else? I'll keep my mouth shut one more time. It was in my notes, but I got nervous and skipped it. So my concern is if you go any further that way, north, you will be able to visually see the trail that's on the side of her house. And even though it ends there, 500 residents from the Springs and the regional people who come and all of a sudden find a dead-end trail, we'll see it, and we'll be cutting a trail through the field right behind our houses. Even if you put up a sign that says "end of trail," they went all that way on the regional trail, they are gonna see it, and they are gonna find a way to get to that trail. I know this because the trail already currently ends behind Linda's house, and people get to it and say, oh, there's gotta be a trail back here, and they're walking back there looking already. So, my last comment, sorry.
Thank you.
So if we were to make a motion to approve as suggested with the additional recommendation that at future development, the preference of the Parks and Trails Commission is to move that trail further to the connection further to the south, is that?
That's certainly something that could be added into the.
Added into the.
Yeah, and then it memorializes what this Parks and Trails Commission wanted when they reviewed
Yeah.
the surrounding area for the off-road trail.
And then we would review that when the property came available to us.
Parks and Trails is always only a recommendation board. We don't get to actually make real decisions. We get to recommend to the council about those real decisions. And so that's the kind of thing that we pass on. It's important for us to get the trail in and to have it work well. And that's for everybody, both people using the trail and for the residents who live along it. So I think that we would like to keep options open, maximize the ability to be nimble about just exactly how that works. So I move that.
Okay, great.
Is that clear enough for you?
Good, you have what you need for that.
Just
In
before we move
addition-
forward with that motion, do you need more information, or do you got it?
A motion to recommend that the trail design on the property to the west, when that comes in, be shifted as southerly and westerly as possible to avoid impact to the neighboring properties.
Yep, that would be perfect.
Along with the
And make
rest
the
of the
second
motion.
connection.
That makes
Correct.
And makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, good. I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you for your time. All right.
We don't get many visitors. It's nice to see people in here. There was no need to be nervous.
All right, moving on to linear park plan. Sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Maybe we give folks.
Yeah, everyone's welcome to stick around and watch, but.
I know it's so
understand if-
surprising that everyone's leaving now.
Going back to Menominee tonight?
All right, we have another presentation.
Yes.
Excellent.
Alrighty, so this should be relatively familiar, and it's not Dwight's project, but I might defer to him every so often just because he is here and he's a planner and I love to utilize his knowledge. So, you had previously seen the linear park plan for the portion along St. Therese. Oh, what is that? It's not moving on your paper then, but it's moving on mine.
You broke it.
Give me 1 moment. Okay.
You know, while you're getting, could you introduce yourself? I don't think we've met you.
Oh, yeah, I can introduce myself. Yeah, my name is Dwight Klingbeil. I'm the planner for the city of Corcoran. Been with the city for about 4 years now, and I've been learning a lot during my time here, but excited to be supportive in everything related to the development of the city.
Are you going to be joining us more often?
You may see my face more frequently. So.
Yeah?
May I provide more context on this?
Yeah.
He's way too humble, I think, for what he does here. Dwight started as an admin assistant, I think, and then progressed into a planning role as his workload definitely increased. And he is very smart, very helpful, and we are super happy to be on the same team as him in community development. mark that down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a serious note, I hope that you guys might see Dwight a little bit more. As much as I love to bring forward planning projects, I am not as well versed as our planning team. As you can see, and he answers your questions much more eloquently.
And do you work with Kendra a lot? Who do you work with?
So I work under Natalie Davis,
You work under Natalie,
Development
okay.
Director,
Yep.
and alongside Kendra.
Kendra, okay. Super, well,
Nice to meet everyone. I've seen a lot of Parks and Trails Commission meeting recordings, but excited to actually be here with you guys.
thank you. You do very well.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
He also puts together your planning project updates. So that is the blue font that
Yeah.
you changed? Yes.
Nice.
Know that well.
Very familiar. All right, let's try this again. So the lineal park in St. Therese, it was approved, town center plat was approved on November 22nd, 2021. It created the lot for St. Therese and outlot A for the lineal park. The commission reviewed the lineal park concept back on January 15th of this year. And the commission supported allowing St. Therese to make the improvements in lieu of cash for park dedication. The site plan for phase 2 of this was approved by council on February 26th of this year. The southeast district includes a lineal park from City Hall down south towards Larkin Road on the east side of County Road 116. St. Therese prepared a plan for improvement for their section of that lineal park that's right next to, not their section, still ours, but along their kind of front leg. It includes an 8-foot wide paved trail, includes 6 4-foot 6-inch concrete paths for benches in the future, as well as 25 trees, 27 shrubs, 255 perennials, 169 decorative grasses, and the lawn, as those were required to be planted for St. Therese Phase 2, but they did not fit on the site. And no credit is necessarily given to those because they are being moved to an alternative site to accommodate that. The improvements will establish a framework for future improvements in the lineal park. So the questions really for the commission tonight, not so much do we want the concrete pads under benches, because if we want the benches, I would say Public Works highly encourages that we have the concrete pads underneath just for ease of maintenance. But should the city install or seek donations on those benches? What is the standard? Generally, 4.5 feet is shorter than what we've done in the past. We usually do 6-foot benches in what I've seen. And should lighting be provided? So some other background, the applicant is required to provide $125,000 approximately cash in lieu for park dedication. The 25 trees that could not be planted on site are estimated at about $14,000. And there's a rental fee for using that portion of the lineal park for construction phasing for 12 to 18 months. So that amount of money is TBD. The plan as proposed by the applicant is estimated at $197,000 approximately. This is not including the deductions for the required trees and the rental fees. It is likely slightly more than the park dedication and other fees. However, in the staff report, Kendra had also noted the proposed improvements exceed the amount of money required for park dedication, but are covered by the construction staging and other costs. So tonight, we are looking for direction from the commission on the trees and the planting provided and the location of the plantings. So within the packet, there were visuals as to where those would be planted. The concrete pads, whether to keep them, how long the pads should be, and that'll be dependent on whether or not it's a 4.5-foot bench versus 6-foot. How would the benches be provided? Keeping in mind we do have the See My Legacy option as well, and we could put benches on there. And then should lighting be provided along the trail and or near the benches? And I'm happy to pull up any imagery from the packet. I can do that. If you want me to go back to any of the slides to provide more information on those, we can go that route.
Can we go back, my brain stopped at 4 feet 6 inches. Can we go back to that slide? I don't think that's, I think that's a typo.
No.
4 feet by 6 feet.
No,
Pad
4 feet,
should be
6 inches.
Inches.
Four,
Oh,
4
4.5
feet, 6
feet.
inches, 4.5 feet per bench.
What
Why?
is,
We would want to match the city's benches. The benches that are out there, we want to match that and concrete pads that way. 4 foot 6 foot. I think that might be a typo.
Oh,
I think it might be
okay.
4 by 6.
So the bench standard is four and a half foot bench.
In my conversation with Kendra,
Okay,
it was, so the pads are 4 foot, 6 inches long and size for a 4 foot bench.
okay,
That seems,
that seems really small.
And it is generally smaller than the benches that we have proposed elsewhere. I would say generally we do at least 6 foot benches, just provides more seating. You have multiple people there, it kind of provides 2 spots to sit versus
Singapore is like a chair.
sitting right next to someone.
It's cozy.
Love bench.
And I would say that in general, if we're gonna put in, if we're gonna put a concrete in, it should be wide enough that you can have somebody in a wheelchair sit next to the bench. Just kind of as a normal way of doing things. It's outside St. Therese after all.
Do we do that now?
I don't know, probably not, but this would be, if there were a place to do it, this would be it. I think it's worthy of some consideration. In a lot of places where there is a concrete pad, then the dirt around it either is higher or eventually significantly lower. If there were a way for somebody in a wheelchair to actually sit on, be as they were sitting in a bench, I think that would be something that would be really desirable.
It's a really interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about it like
That, and there are 3 bench locations, it looks like, so could be 2 of them, or
Yeah,
all 3,
yeah.
one on one of them, or, just to make sure that it's accommodating.
So they're not marked out yet in maps? Is that right?
They go with the clumps of trees.
Ah,
If
okay.
you're gonna speak, could you please
Yeah,
go
yeah.
to the left-hand side? We won't be able to hear you on the video.
And just state your name, please, name and address.
Hi, my name is Josh Montgomery with St. Therese. We new to the neighborhood. We're so glad to be here and so glad that the city's taking into consideration using our park dedication funds for this segment of trail that will immediately affect us. A couple of things that I've heard or questions asked. So the intent for the benches or the concrete pads that go with the benches, the intent would be to match the city standard benches that are currently installed on City Center Drive. So we may have to adjust the concrete pad dimensions. The benches do occur in the various clusters of trees. So the point would be that we would eventually have shade trees that these benches would be located under. And then our thought was that perhaps we provide some uplighting in that location. We did discuss some pole lighting similar to what is on City Center Drive. I think that was, we just brainstorming, and it would want to match the city standard, and I don't think that was recommended to do that. So, but perhaps some uplighting for those trees could be an option of something to do. And also, we've got a little link between, right about the middle of our property as more or less a gateway to, for our residents to access the trail. So we think it's a great amenity. We have lots of folks out walking, and we think this provides a great loop, call it a nature walk, if you will, for our residents and the rest of the city. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Makes a lot of sense. Nice to have a lot more trees, but not to us necessarily.
I apologize.
These trees are getting added here.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's the
Yeah.
positive.
And I like how the benches are all mostly not facing the road, right? So that the trees are pocketed, there's way more than 3. I was looking at the section image of that, so.
I know where sounds like we're already a little over budget, but with the rental and everything, if there is additional money, we put that towards more trees.
There are trees there.
Are there? Okay. So they're not showing them as that, maybe?
Oh, no, I was joking about palm trees.
Oh, those ones, oh, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good. So what are you looking for, Sam?
Yes. So, I'm looking for, do the trees and the plantings provided and the location, does that match the vision? It kind of threw out.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
wonderful, easy peasy. The concrete pads and benches, do we want benches? It sounds like yes, if we can explore the option to expand all or just some of the concrete pads.
Want all of them or
Well,
some?
I discuss it,
Yeah.
Looks like, yeah, total of 6 maybe is what I'm counting now.
6 benches is what,
Yeah.
is what you get, is what you're sketching.
Could be every other.
Yeah, at least half, right, for this area at least, maybe not all areas, but this would be helpful.
Half with expanded concrete pad.
Yep, and then match the benches like, our friend over here was suggesting.
Match benches. And then, are we looking to have the benches donated or bought by the city?
As long as we have that fancy website, I think that's the whole point of it.
So here is my only caveat, because I can't tell the future, and if I could, I would be a lottery winner. With that, and having this being staged for 12 to 18 months, it might provide us a really good opportunity to get donors during that time.
Yep.
It seems more feasible than trying to get donors for Heritage Park right now, but
Yeah.
does that make sense at all? Like, it gives us a bigger timeline to
Yeah.
kind of.
So if we run out of time, then maybe the city just takes, or pays for half or something.
So attempt to get donors through See My Legacy?
Yep.
Sounds good. And is there a preference for lighting to be provided along the trail and or near the benches?
Just a good section for lighting, I think. Are the lighting that is already there, those architecturally pleasing?
So from what I just heard, it sounds like we wouldn't be doing the full lighting that's
Oh, okay.
shown on City Center.
Okay, up light.
So the alternative was the uplighting kind of either at the trees or in that
Yeah,
area.
what's the quality of those? Like they, you wear, every time I see lights in the ground, I feel like they're broken within a year or two, but maybe that's just me.
That's just your kids.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, very well could be it.
You guys will be doing the mowing and the snow removal, so.
Okay. Are these the lights that stick up a little bit, or do we
I
not,
don't
we
know that
don't
we've
have a
gotten
model for this
that
yet?
far necessarily
Okay,
on the model.
got it. Yeah, I think uplighting would suit really well here. Focus on quality.
Do you mind if I quick summarize just what I have it all, so that when I send this to Kendra, I feel confident? Wonderful. So trees and plantings provided and the locations of them look good. The concrete pads, you would like to have in place with benches, half of them with expanded concrete pads to allow for a wheelchair. Match the benches along City Center Drive. Donated benches are preferred utilizing See My Legacy as we have that in place. And you would prefer uplighting as applicable, assuming that they are of decent quality.
Don't know what, like, I'm just thinking, I don't want to extend this because that was a perfect summary, but other things at a park, other things on a trail, are pets allowed at St. Therese? Will people be walking their pets there? Is there any sort of other interactive things that grandkids, is it, what, like, when can that be discussed? Or is that something that is more the planning or up to you guys?
I think I'm confused on the question. So.
Rather than just benches, I guess
So the
basically
lineal
something,
park, I think, is intended to be more passive recreation.
it's just more of a
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
walk and sit and, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
More of like a trail
Yeah,
seeing it in nature, more passive.
Bring them up to Heritage Park, basically, is what you're saying.
I mean, Heritage Park or even like your neighborhood parks have more active recreation.
Okay, just
But-
wanted to
Good
throw it out there
question.
before we close that out, but sounds good.
Sorry, Steve, Josh.
There's open space left over for future options.
Great.
I'll just also like to point out, as part of the downtown mixed-use plan, this property is part of the future downtown mixed-use area. And in the vicinity, there are planned areas for neighborhood parks and like a more centralized, not to the scale of Heritage Park, but there's parks planned for the vicinity nearby. So the linear park trail would connect to those park spaces as well.
Perfect. You need a motion for this?
Yes.
All right, I'll make a motion based on what you just said. You can check the notes if you want. Do we have a second?
I'm second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Great. Thank you for your comments as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Always helpful to get extra information like that.
Appreciate it.
Right, now we're moving on to what was previously item 7.
And then it was just our little group,
No,
figured out that.
park prioritization and planning.
I downloaded it this time, so we're not doing fun transitions, so sorry. All right, park planning and prioritization. Purpose of this, previous discussions included talking about existing and undeveloped park sites. We talked a lot about it in March. If you recall, we went to a joint work session with the city council. And then we went here the very next week and talked a little bit more. And now it's 2 months later, and I'm trying to bring it back because it fell off my radar for just a little bit, so I could get caught up on other things. We had also talked through current park conditions and development status, long-range park system needs, and tonight the focus is intended to be identifying park development priorities, discussing what factors should help guide that prioritization, identifying planning components needed to support future decisions. So the first two are kind of what parks are you prioritizing and how do we kind of get there? And then the second part is identifying the planning components needed to support those future decisions, and I envision that being more of your park system plans. So again, here are the prior discussions, and I won't beat a dead horse, but this was what we all attended. Future park planning efforts and a need to prioritize undeveloped park sites was discussed during the joint work session. And then we continued the discussion about priorities and some contextual information was given. Potential components of a future plan. So this is that park system plan. I'm kind of looking at 2 parts to this, both the park system plan and trying to get that kind of squared away of what exactly would the scope look like, so that I can bring that back to Gabrielle with HKGI, and we can come back with a more cohesive scope of what that plan would entail. Components of that include park system overview and needs assessment, existing amenities, regional comparisons, trail connectivity. All of this was kind of listed throughout the packet, and we also included Otsego, a link to Otsego as like a reference point. An additional note to all of this, staff doesn't necessarily feel that a recreation trends assessment is necessary at this time. We know that there are staffing, funding, and operational limitations that we've faced. So the recreation trends, assessing that we don't have them, isn't super helpful at this time. But are there pieces of this that the commission feels to be more beneficial or would be a lost cause? Wayfinding and signage planning is currently underway. We are working through HKGI, and we will come back in the future with some information regarding that. But beyond that, are there pieces of these that you feel would help the city, would hinder the city, would be of no value, great value?
The long-range replacement planning is So our parks dedication fund does not go towards maintenance or replacement of?
Correct.
Okay.
So because Heritage Park was getting the new features, that's different than like, hey, the playground swings are in really bad shape, we need to replace the swing.
Okay, then how would this come into our parks plan? Is it seems like it's not necessarily, shouldn't be part of this plan, and maybe I'm wrong.
So I would say it is not uncommon to have it. It does help. So for reference, September of, 2018, the installation of Wildflower Park occurred. And now we are 8 years later. Playgrounds usually last 15 to 25 years. This helps make sure that those things are on the radar for CIP, keeping in mind, like, it does have to be replaced at some point. How long is that gonna take? What are we estimating the cost to be? This helps set us up for future success.
Okay,
From
that
my
makes sense.
viewpoint.
Yep, I get it.
Other ones that I can help elaborate on? Otherwise, we can keep moving forward and we can bounce back to.
It's a really good list of all the things that we should be looking at. But, so, do I have a favorite? No, they're all important.
So you would say that these should all be included within the parks plan in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. The one that is not my favorite is where we spend too much time comparing Corcoran to someplace else. We sort of like not do that, but
Is
it's.
that the existing amenities and regional comparison one?
Yeah, but there is something to be learned by seeing what other people, other communities are doing.
And for some reference to that one, it also, for example, it wouldn't just be like, oh, well, Golden Valley does X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But surrounding cities might have more volleyball courts. So do we need as many volleyball courts if we're oversaturated in the general area? Or are people getting their fix from a local business that runs these?
And as part of this, they would do that assessment on our behalf, part of.
Yes,
the
that would be
package
part
and
of the plan.
everything,
and
right?
post-release.
Not just like telling us where to look or something.
Right, no.
Go to that park, yeah, okay.
If we wanted that, I could go.
Right, well, that's kind of what I do.
On Google Maps.
Yeah.
So these are all great, but I recall from a prior meeting that there were costs associated with
Yes.
these different things.
And I did include the slides from the previous meeting within the packet.
Okay, so are you looking for prioritization of these, or what we think would be our money well spent, or is this just high level? Would we want it in the plan? Yes.
Both. I mean, if you do feel strongly about prioritizing these, I'm more passionate about you prioritizing the parks later, because I think that answer brings us forward to council a little quicker. As far as this goes, if there are things that you don't feel should be included, we can take them out. There are things that you feel very strongly can be included as we're working through a scope with HKGI. That's helpful because then I can also relay that as we continue to council if they have questions about why you guys feel passionately either way on certain things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, looking at, funding strategies and capital operations and maintenance planning, until we have a really separate Parks and Trails budget, it's all pretty mushy, seems to me.
We do have a parks budget, and I think the capital operations and maintenance provides some insights into what is necessary to make the spaces run.
Okay.
So like, if we took the Heritage Park building, for example.
Sure.
It could help take into account, like, you're probably gonna be replacing certain parts of that building within X amount of years, you should plan for that. The cost of maintenance to keep up with it is probably this much per year. Kind of helps be more proactive in that planning
Okay.
aspect.
So, but we don't have a separate, let's see.
We have a parks budget, which is
Yeah.
separate from the park dedication fund.
Which would be maintenance.
you've got your park dedication fund, and then you've got your parks operating budget. So there are three different buckets. Your CIP is that long-range replacement. The capital operations and maintenance planning would kind of help support your park operations. And then the park dedication is for your new parks, and that would be more of the conversation later about prioritization of parks to be developed. Is that it?
It does, but the part that the brain goes to Pat's crew, and they do a lot of work on right of way. They also mow the lawn in the parks, and that's not.
They are not using the park budget to do right-of-way road maintenance,
No.
if that makes you feel any
Yeah,
better.
well, no, I didn't know. It's just that you know, we're a small city, and to spend too much time dividing that is not probably a good use of the money to do it. So, but it just means that it is hard to know just how much money do we spend on lawn maintenance in the parks. Well, we don't really know because it's not a separate line item in the budget, or is it?
The park operations, I mean, are you talking staff time, or are you talking tangible?
Mostly, yeah, staff time is the harder one, right?
I would not speak to staff time for public works. I would not feel confident or comfortable enough to speak to that.
I mean, it's the same guys doing both right-of-way and mowing lawn. Summer, seasonal probably do most of the lawn.
And that is the counterpart, right? Is you
Sure.
do hire, we've got
Sure.
two great seasonals that I can proudly attest to.
Yep.
But to your point, I don't know that I'd be able to pull numbers for you necessarily.
So if we can't pull the numbers, just spend too much time analyzing what we can't get to is of limited value at this point in our development. In a few years, it might be that, well, you know, now we have two different trucks. It's the park truck, and it's the road right-of-way truck.
Can I counter that?
It's never on low.
Well, yeah.
It might help to provide some insights into what could or should be invested into the areas based on an external company kind of doing that assessment
Sure.
of like, here's what we would anticipate that you would need to do. Which again, could be helpful to public works staff, to me. It just kind of depends on how we go about it. I can see both sides. I don't have a real passion for it.
Two questions. Are the services that we used HKGI for the planning of this park, are they included like in this plan, or would we be paying additional, say, the next park that they help us design, or is it included in this package?
So that would be dependent. I think you're kind of getting into more concepts for future parks. That is going to cost more.
It would be, okay.
Right, so
This should give us an outline of.
Because of the outline, but then would it also serve a purpose for them to obviously have us use more of their services to create this outline of, hey, let's do a park? I mean, I'm all on board for that, right? But I'm just wondering if it was included in this package.
I think
okay.
with their historical knowledge, like, it would be
makes most
helpful,
sense, yeah.
right? And we'd probably get the most bang for our buck. But with that, no, they wouldn't have to necessarily be the person doing the concept plan.
Okay. But yeah, those services are not included in this package.
They
Yeah.
can be. I have seen park plans that do include concept plans. My stop point with that would be, how are you getting the community engagement aspect if you already have concept plans for all of these parks, and then by the time you develop it, how do you know that's still the vision? So that would be my devil's advocate, but I could ask HKGI a little bit more.
No, that's good. The other question was just, what is the most valuable to you? I think we might have asked that at one of the meetings, but.
Yeah, and I think I told you guys pretty much all
All
of it.
of it equally, all of it equally?
Any kind of direction would be really helpful.
Okay.
The plan would really help kind of set up success for me to keep developing parks and understand what the vision is for the city. And obviously, we would still come back to you all and say, hey, does this still match the vision for this concept? And we'd be getting feedback. It's not that we eliminate coming back here. Do we want to move on to the next slide, and if we have more, we can come back?
Yep.
Alrighty, so let's get into prioritization of parks. I realize this might be kind of an awkward conversation, so do with that what you will. We went through some of the neighborhood parks. We've got the southeast Corcoran / Tavera area. I'm not going to go through all of these slides because we did already go through each of the parks at the previous meeting. But we've got the northeast Corcoran / Bellwether area and the southeast Corcoran / Cook Lake Highlands. I don't know that we necessarily talked about that one at all or much. It's that smaller natural area with that small trail loop that just goes out and back essentially. So there is potential for additional passive amenities. This would be like benches. Beyond that, I don't know that you would really put a lot else out there. But we did want to note that it doesn't have benches necessarily, so if that was something that you felt passionately about, I wanted to throw that in there. We also have open space and linear parks. So the northeast Corcoran / Bellwether Open Space Park, the County Road 116 Old Sturbridge, Virginia area, and then County Road 116 Linear Park, which was mentioned earlier today. The final one, Heritage Park. Current investment is a new playground, the new parking and trail connections, new park building, future considerations, pickleball and splash pad, and then potential hockey and rink relocations, as well as additional east side improvements. Discussion point, the feedback that we've received from a staff level has suggested balancing future investment towards other parks in the community before going back for another phase with Heritage Park.
Who's providing that feedback?
I have heard it from community members and I believe council as well. Is there a different desire from the commission to emphasize Heritage Park and really hammering down on that part before moving on to like the neighborhood parks, or?
I like the idea of pushing forward on Heritage Park because I think the most people are going to get the most use out of it.
I agree.
The other thing I will note with that, keeping in mind the updates to Heritage Park were more expensive than you will probably find with like neighborhood parks. And the neighborhood park can also offset some of the usage, visitor rate. They can tend to be closer for people as far as like a walkability or connectiveness goes. Just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I don't think we ignore the other parks, but, and I know that Heritage Park costs a lot more than probably any other park that we're ever going to make, but it should always be one of the higher priority parks. It's like our central park. I know it doesn't go by that name anymore, but like everyone's going to know it, everyone's going to go there, everyone's going to get use out of it.
And to be fair, the east side still has the pavilion, two
Correct.
fields, hockey rink. And I can tell you that we had brought to the commission in, I think, April, the request potentially for Public Works to go out for a grant for hockey rink boards. And so that is on the list, like they do want to look at kind of refreshing, updating. That wouldn't necessarily come from park dedication though, but you'd still be getting that update to Heritage Park at a more affordable rate in the interim, right?
Yeah. And I think once we have more of this information that in theory we're going to get, once they go through these reports, we'll be able to better make decisions. Pickleball splash pad costs $1 million, where we could finish this small local park for $250,000. Okay, that's kind of an easy choice to make. It's hard to make it now because I have this concept of a park for one of the other areas that I have no idea what it's going to mean, right? At least this I can see, oh good, once we're done, we're going to have this, this, and this. So if we get all this information that in theory we'll have eventually, then I think it'll be easier to prioritize which park gets what. But I personally think Heritage Park should still, maybe not the top priority every time, but should have a little more weight than some of the other parks. you want.
So, can I play devil's advocate?
Go ahead, yeah.
Thank you. With Heritage Park, I know it doesn't seem like it, but because of economy of scale and like mobilization and everything, you're getting more bang for your buck when you do more things at one time, right? So like having all of the utilities and all of that. We've got the contractors already mobilized, so it's easier for them to make those moves. When Heritage Park is complete, we're anticipating about 1.5 million in park dedication. So with that,
Left over? Or
correct,
Okay.
left over. And that's getting the grants back in, because most of them are reimbursement. With that, it might be harder to make the impact that we've seen with the first phase, again, for quite some time. I mean, keeping in mind, Dwight did just present 1.2 million potentially in park dedication, but that does take time. So it's kind of one of those, do you want the chicken or the egg, which one comes first?
Yeah, now didn't we already do a lot of the infrastructure for the second phase? So we have additional parking, we have plumbing, we have everything graded, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct there, so splash pad is stubbed, pickleball is graded.
Right.
So we are trying to be proactive,
Yes.
but the mobilization is where you kind of, if you're doing the one-offs, like you just did splash pad.
Yep, I totally get that. Yep. So I'm not saying it should trump all other parts, but I still think in the back of our mind, we say, oh, that's right, we still have to finish this part. But
And I think that one can be easier to, not easier, but we've got better shots at doing like grant applications with Heritage Park because we do have some concept plans that did show a grander scheme of the
Right.
park.
yeah, I think once we get this information, everything will become a lot clearer in terms of how we prioritize and where we focus what dollars we do have when they do come in. Do you want feedback on the other parts then? Is that,
I have a couple more slides and then we will.
okay, go ahead.
Financial planning considerations, so establishing these priorities can help guide long-range planning, improve grant readiness, support phase development strategies, it's like I'm psychic, and create clearer expectations for residents. So it also helps us kind of tell a story for timelines, because I get a lot of people who are asking me, hey, when is this going in? I don't have a good answer for you. So here are the questions I'm kind of looking for. Is there a prioritization of these park sites? What I'm hearing is that Heritage Park should always be on the back of the mind, kind of on the back burner, as like, if we have opportunity to do things there, we should try and actively pursue that.
Big influx of participation funds, hey, let's revisit, see if we can get something done,
Okay,
or save the money.
that's helpful.
Right.
The other kind of questions that I have, what factors should guide that prioritization? Like, what kind of puts one park in a prioritization above a different one?
Potential use, how many people are gonna use that park, where it is it in the very southwest corner of our city? Maybe the age of how long it's been designated a park, or potential park.
So it looks like resident demand, no?
Oh, yeah.
Or is
Oh,
that
I
kind
see,
of
you already
based
have
on?
listed, okay.
You kind of went through the
You did
list.
a nice job.
I thought you were reading it.
Resident demand, yeah, that's important too, but some residents can be more vocal than others, and everyone wants their own part put in first.
The squeaky wheel doesn't necessarily
Right,
get the oil.
necessarily always.
It sounds like date of approval by council can make a difference.
Right, I don't think that's our number one item, but yeah, I think that's important to be aware of. Funding opportunities like, I think you had pointed out the veterans are potentially gonna help out with the Bellwether Park.
And there's also an opportunity for the charitable gambling dollars that
Right,
come back
yep.
to the city from,
Yeah, so that would push up the priority of that park.
there
So-
any, just an additional factor, like, those are all kind of like impact. Is there anything from like an effort standpoint of like, if it's a park that looks like it's gonna take, another 7 years to plan, or however many years it took, like, that effort going into that, should that, or the complexity of where it is, right? Like, the effort of us actually designing that and going through that, because it'll just delay us getting back to Heritage Park, right? Kind of that idea of just effort. I just see those as all like impact. What effort?
So would you prefer to go more the low effort routes, like hammer those out quick?
I think to balance out what Phil's saying is, we'll get back to Heritage Park quicker if we recognize a new park opportunity as lower, quicker effort. To get it in, get it done.
Right,
we can get
low
back
cost
to the-
relatively, so
Yeah,
that we can
right.
still, while we're waiting,
Right.
still complete some projects.
Mm-hmm.
Get those dots on our map.
What I'm also hearing for the last question on the slide, is there additional information needed to support future decision-making? Chair Christensen, I'm hearing you say, I'd really like to see the plan before we try and prioritize anything.
I can certainly give you my opinion, but it's just an opinion, so we should try and be as objective as possible, and I think the plan will help with that.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Oh, thank you.
If I were to further push you, is there a priority in this list? These two lists. And just because neighborhood parks is on one slide and open space and linear parks is on another, please envision all 6 of these on one slide. It just helps differentiate them a little bit more and keep them separate. If helpful, the ones that we've had the longest at this point would be the ones located or that came in with the Bellwether development. So that'd be that open space park and then the neighborhood park. As of right now, there's temporary seating planned to go in this spring, early summer for passive use at the neighborhood park in Bellwether. It was posted, I think, last fall on some city channels. And it would allow for some, like I said, passive use.
If I were gonna prioritize any of these, it'd probably be the neighborhood park at Bellwether, because we have groups that are willing to help financially, which is always great. And it seems like there's a lot of interest there as well. A large community that's already been there for a little while. See, again, that's my opinion, so it's hard for me to point because I need to decide.
I mean, to be fair, I think you're in the role for that, right? Speak
Well,
for
right,
people.
right, but we're trying to get to a more systematic approach to this, so. But yeah, that's what I would, anyone else like any of those parks up there?
My feeling is that, when the city council approves a PUD for a development, and the park is part of it, that obligates the city to build the park. And that's a promise that the city makes to the people who are buying their homes in that development, that there's gonna be a park there. And I think that we've stretched that promise to the max for Bellwether and for Tavera. Here we are still trying to seed it, we got Tavera graded, but nothing. I think we need to, in good faith, we need to show some sort of progress there, in terms of planning or soliciting community input, or saying we're not going to solicit input because we think that you need this. Here's what we're proposing. We need to move this ball forward. In those cases, we can pick some low-cost options, but somebody's time and energy to do some of that work is not free by any means. It's half time labor. If I've got my brain right, that little tiny piece of unplowed territory, it's just a part of an acre. It's just tiny. But is that the one that's over there in Cook Hounds?
Oh, okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought we were still on Bellwether and I was like,
that particular part, it was residents living next door there that brought that to our attention. And so there's some interest there. There's also that community, so I think, there'll be a chance to, I bet we can get some benches from that homeowners association, from that community to or some help planning it easily. We should do that. Let's tie a little bow on it. Let's do it. Let's have ice cream and call it done.
Yeah, we can always come back to it later too.
Yeah.
Develop more, but are we, and so we're seeding the bellwether one at least, are we seeding the other ones?
Not
I
so
thought that
far.
earlier. Okay, can we make a note?
Would you like me to,
Remind council maybe that we should see the other parks that they're sitting with?
are there
dirt lots?
specific ones that you would like to refer to? I'm assuming Tavera, but I don't want to assume.
Yeah, Tavera, and then you just said the Cook Lake Highs one has a dirt pile too?
No,
No. Oh,
Cook
okay.
Lake, it's a little gully,
Oh,
is
okay.
what it amounts to.
Got it.
And I don't know exactly what would need to do in there. But you remember looking at pictures, aerial pictures of that space from the 30s or 40s, and it's gradually changed as the woods have come back. But to make some sort of long-range plan for that the space, I assume that for not doing anything, it's reverting to woods, which means, buckthorn,
Yeah, jump.
box elder. That's around the edges.
So Tavera for sure. Bellwether, we're already doing it. Is there a bunch of dirt piles at any of these other ones? Not linear parks, that's being worked on.
That,
The trail is being worked on. What's Old Sturbridge?
that's Virginia. There's access limitations,
Yeah.
because until,
Yeah, I remember we talked about that, but is there a big dirt pile over there or no?
No, that's an open space
Okay.
park.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
nature
not-
park. There's
we've
some,
got people kind of using
Oh,
these
yeah,
areas,
yeah.
So we'll
but
probably-
it's not
yeah.
necessarily accessible.
Yeah. So it's just the one. If there's a dirt pile anywhere, we should probably see it.
So here's what I'm hearing, and let me know if I'm grasping. Heritage Park should always be on the back burner, in the back of the mind. However, there is a higher priority for the neighborhood park in the Northeast Corcoran Bellwether area, as it has some financial help potentially, a larger community, and it's been there for a while. From there, if nothing else with Tavera, we at least want to get it seeded so that it can be used for passive use. And then I also heard when a PUD is approved, we really need to be kind of thinking about that part a little more proactively. With that, and kind of combined with Tavera, does that look like maybe exploring seeding or exploring how to make it maybe a usable space, at least for the interim, until it becomes a designed park per se? I will say the complications with that, because I can already hear it, that is one more park that then gets snowed, that then is added
understand,
maintenance.
but-
I'm just throwing,
Appreciate it.
I said what?
what is the status of the bridge over the wetland up in Bellwether?
That is a good question.
Okay.
What I have heard is that it's 98% done.
Okay.
I'm not actually the one overseeing that.
Okay.
The boardwalk over in Heritage Park though, that's more my business.
Yeah.
It sounds like they have, railings up. I haven't been out there in a couple weeks, so I'm speaking from hearsay. And they need to do just a little more lip work at the end.
That's great. That really does then bring that neighborhood park over the bridge to the park. It makes that a higher,
Over the river and through
through
the
the
woods.
woods to get to the park. Cool. That's
I
great.
think that this has actually been pretty helpful. Do you want me to go back to the park system plan slide at all? Any other slides that you want to provide additional info on? Or not?
The only thing with the park planning, this is a lot. prioritization for me would be the park system overview and needs assessment and maybe the trails connectivity planning, only because we do get quite a bit of turnover.
Yep.
So that would be a very good starter for anyone coming on with very limited parks experience to say, oh, here's the parks we have, here's the potential parks, and here's where the trails are going and potentially connected. So that would be my only focus there, but if we can do them all, great.
Is there an agreement that the recreation trend assessment can get me? I had that in the
Oh,
report
it's not
that I
on
had.
there?
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
mentioned as an additional note
Okay.
because of,
Yeah, I would agree.
okay.
It's all pickleball courts from here on out.
That happened with tennis,
Yeah.
and then tennis
I feel like
died.
telling my friends that play pickleball, and they're like, nah, this is here to stay.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
sure. Anything else for me as far as this is concerned? I think I got the information that I was looking for. Oh, good.
Glad to help.
Good, yeah.
All right, so we'll keep moving on.
I think so.
Okay, excellent. So now we're on to 9, which would be planning project updates.
Well, you heard most of it tonight. It was
Yeah.
things at Corcoran. Dwight and I discussed, and there wasn't really anything else that's noteworthy as of right now.
Okay.
Kind of everything remains the same. Some of those projects are still moving through the process, but nothing that pertains to parks specifically, other than what you heard that's from the Corcoran. So,
Always nice when you guys keep us updated.
yep.
Appreciate
Sure,
that.
continue that.
Okay, we'll keep moving right along. Parks, recreation, trails updates.
I'm tired.
Okay, we'll move on.
We do, the big things I want to highlight, youth baseball kicked off, and I did pull the numbers and then they're not in here, but I want to say we were looking at like 30% residency or 35, 40, somewhere in there, 30 to 40, which is continuing to increase. And if Commissioner Nybo were here, I think she'd be very pleased.
She would
Additionally, with youth baseball, I have been on site for youth baseball to ensure that people weren't crossing over into the construction zone. So I was out there every night if you saw someone on a Ranger. Now, if you see someone that looks like me on a Ranger, that is our program coordinator. Yes. So if you see her out there, make sure you introduce yourself. Her name is Amelia. She has been phenomenal. She started on Monday, and I am very impressed. If she could be here tonight, she would be, but she was at baseball, and then she decided to go home after.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll get her to come to.
Don't fill up with children, she's growing up here.
Yeah, right.
I am continuing to work with the DNR on that outdoor recreation grant that we had gotten. Soccer is getting ready to go, and wayfinding is continuing. Beyond that, we had 10 items at the council last week that would be relevant. One was window trim. It was to replace what was going to be wood trim with a metal trim for ease of maintenance and longevity. Physical security, so cameras, doors, access to the Heritage Park building, that contract was approved. The network infrastructure and connectivity, so Wi-Fi and us being able to access city stuff. Tables and chairs for the park building. Irrigation was approved to have shut-off valves for future expansion of the irrigation, in an effort to be fiscally responsible but still thinking of the future. We had a change order to address a gap in contracts where our conduits didn't fully make their way into the building. We had FRP for the kitchen and storage area in the kitchen had to be updated because it cost just a smidgen more. We also had a pay request, another pay request, and discussion about a usage survey for the Heritage Park building. So with that, please keep an eye out. We are hoping to post a survey tomorrow morning about the Heritage Park building to get people's thoughts about usages, what they'll use it for, how much it should cost, what kind of staff support you're looking to have if you use it. I'm 95% sure Seth will be sending that to everyone on the commission. If you have good friends that you'd like to send it off to, please do.
Monday.
Monday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday,
Monday.
You sending it on the holiday?
No, it is a holiday. Tuesday. Sorry. Sorry.
There you go.
you thought Tom was just giving you some grace. No, no.
I don't like these three holidays.
Don't say that, otherwise they'll get canceled. Any questions for me on any of those items? There were also some on the 23rd, but nothing incredibly noteworthy.
Is there a completion date?
May.
Wait, what?
I would say our holdups have been more with utilities than the construction
Okay.
proper.
Yeah.
So, we're looking hopefully end of May, June-ish was for the playground.
Yeah.
And then the building, because of utility connection issues, again, not at
Right.
the contractor's fault, I will vouch for them on that one. That's been our hang up, and I'm hoping June.
Okay. Good to me.
Making
We
progress.
have to get easements and such, so that's been exciting.
All right, we keep moving along, no other updates? Okay.
Not unless you got questions.
Garden club report, what do we got now?
Really nothing from the garden club.
What was the most popular tree given away this year?
I don't know, they were all popular. The tree giveaway was a beautiful day. It was very successful. We gave away all the trees in about an hour and a half. So by appointment, and it's the usual problem, that a significant number of people fail to pick up their trees, and a bunch of them, life goes on. People are busy on a Saturday morning, and so but I've still got some, some years I've just tracked those folks down and just harangued them to come get their trees, and this year I got my box full of trees. Now it's been
Big
sad.
trees, they don't get.
It's hard to, just there's a time gap between when people order trees and when the trees come in, and people's lives change. I don't know exactly what the deal is.
Hard to get all three trees.
We could, I suppose, save those name tags and not give them trees next year, because they didn't pick up the trees this year.
That'll teach them.
Already on the sign up list.
Failure to pick up trees
You
will
have been denied.
result in
Banning for 1
banning
year.
for a year.
Can I add one more garden club update?
Yeah, go for it.
We do have, on our See My Legacy page, we have an option for people to express interest in the garden club.
Yeah.
We have received 2 or 3 submissions. None of them expressed interest in leading the group, which is shocking. So we are still looking for someone who can kind of be that point of contact for the garden club. They would either work with me or Seth or Amelia, our program coordinator, and we can help coordinate. But we just need someone who can kind of give ideas. I kill plants. You don't want me leading the charge here. I'll be honest. I don't know what the garden club is necessarily looking for events and stuff. You don't want me leading the charge on that. So if anyone is interested, please reach out to me so that we can get someone to kind of help
Spread the
lead that
word around.
charge.
All right, good. Park Dedication Fund, any questions on that? Just payments going out.
I will say, I'm pretty sure Dwight is also the one who makes that number increase, because he's the one inputting the checks for park dedication fund, aren't you? These two, you should really like them more than me.
Okay, everything's looking good there. No questions?
And we haven't had anything coming out of the Memorial Garden Fund just because.
We're not doing anything.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, I think that's pretty much everything. Anyone else want to talk about anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned.